Thank you for attending tonight's commission meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask all of you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call. Mayor Pro Tem Roselle.
Present.
Commissioner Olsman.
Present.
Commissioner Elder.
Present.
Commissioner Steinhardt.
Present.
Mayor Paul present. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
So move. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Communications, we have one communication this evening. I think it's worthy of noting that our own city clerk, Heidi Barkholz, received recognition through our Michigan Professional Municipal Clerk Certification Program. Clerks are recognized for their knowledge of the multifaceted clerk's profession. They were pleased to announce that Heidi has met the program criteria and has obtained a level 2 MIPMC certification. So congratulations, Heidi. Let's see, are there any elected officials out there in the crowd? I do not see any. So we'll move on to a proclamation. We have a proclamation this evening honoring our election workers, and it's not too many cities that have the opportunity to have the director of county elections at the table. So I'm going to turn this over to Mayor Pro Tem Roselle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I see a lot of familiar faces in the audience, and so I appreciate the opportunity to read this proclamation, Mr. Mayor. Whereas the integrity and smooth operation of our democratic process relies heavily on the dedicated service of our election workers, and whereas these individuals work tirelessly to ensure that every eligible citizen has the opportunity to participate in our elections, and whereas their responsibilities encompass a wide range of crucial tasks, including managing polling places, assisting voters, verifying ballots, and safeguarding the security of the electoral process, and whereas their efforts, often performed with little recognition, are vital to the smooth operation of elections and the preservation of our democratic values. And whereas election workers contribute their time, service, and dedication to uphold the principles of democracy and facilitate a fair and transparent electoral process, and whereas their commitment exemplifies civic responsibility and embodies the spirit of public service, even while enduring added scrutiny of the election process. Whereas we thank you for your hard work and your dedication to ensuring that our elections are conducted with fairness and integrity, your service does not go unnoticed, and it is deeply valued by our entire community. Now therefore be it resolved, I, Robert Paul, Mayor, do hereby proclaim and extend heartfelt gratitude and appreciation to all election workers. Your exceptional efforts and unwavering dedication are indispensable to our democratic system. Proclaim the 17th day of October, 2024. I would also add that the process does not work without all of you in the audience showing up and doing this over and over again, year after year. You do an amazing job. We have some of the best election workers in the county and some of the best election workers arguably in the state that come from Huntington Woods. And so on behalf of my colleagues here, I can't thank you enough for the work that you do in carrying out our democratic process. So thank you very much.
Can we do a picture after?
You want to do it now or after?
Maybe do it.
Let's do it now.
Let's do it
Yeah,
now.
let's do it now.
I have the proclamation.
Let me get the picture.
So, you guys, can they join you?
Up there or over there, or do you want us all? Yeah, all the election workers come on.
Now you're really gonna be tall. Exactly.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Help yourselves to cookies and stuff out front, okay?
Okay.
Sorry, trying to go in, talk about our, deny the permit.
Do you see the news?
I don't know.
Council.
We'll see.
Doctors, and more doctors today.
Got it.
We're cleaning up Scotia today. And you're approving it, and we've already started.
When are they gonna lift that manhole cover?
Okay.
It's not done.
No,
Should have been done.
pylon's still there. It's year 4, so
All right,
what point do I take ownership of it?
yeah. Put in
Or
a
just fill the hole in?
claim for adverse possession on there. Yeah, that should have been done like 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah, it didn't get done.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Let me make a note of that.
Yep.
Well, it's all of them then.
I thought they were coming out, like you mentioned a little while ago, but
No,
nothing
I
ever
don't think
happened.
my agenda doesn't line up with it.
Yeah.
Do you have the old one?
Oh, yeah, what the heck happened?
She sent out, yeah.
Okay, thanks again. Now we're going to move on to public participation. This is an opportunity for the public to address the city commission for an item or issue that is not on the agenda. Those wishing to address the commission should step to the podium, state their name and address for the record. It would also be helpful to give your name and or write your name and contact information on the piece of paper that's on the podium there so that we can follow up if necessary. In general, members of the public get one opportunity to speak during this portion of the meeting. There's no coming back to the podium to make follow-up or additional comments. Generally, the public comments are not a dialogue. This means neither the city commission nor staff will engage in a question and answer session or back and forth discussion with the speaker. However, the mayor may ask the city manager or city staff to answer questions if possible, or to gather more information regarding the subject and continue the discussion with the concerned party outside of the meeting. So please come forward if you have a comment.
Hello.
Hello.
Darshana Cumming, 10115 Borgman. Okay, so I'd like to address the city's decision to tear out gardens at Alligator Park, which have been maintained by volunteers for years. The particular garden that I maintained through the County Downs Club was planted with $200 in funds with a grant from the National County Downs Organization. So that has now been ripped out. Prior to that, I also helped plant the garden, which was an Eagle Scout project in the same location. There is a volunteer garden coordinator. So the fact that no gardeners were notified to come pick up their plants or that there was a change in plans is unacceptable. I would petition the city to refund the funds that we will have to return to the national organization and explain what the communication should have been like and why it was missed.
All right, thanks for your comments, and we definitely will follow up with you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Pam Haxton, 10865 Kingston Avenue. I'm going to address the same issue. I'm a member of the Arts and Garden Board, and a resident came to our meeting last month and was told that we had authorized all this ripping out of people's gardens. Now, the garden they were dealing with specifically was a small memorial garden that they and another family had been maintaining for years, and it had all been, taken apart and everything thrown away. And I might add, the people that did it didn't really do a very good job because they left all the roots in, and most of the plants they pulled out in the main garden are going to come back and look terrible next year anyway. They didn't dig out the root clumps. Anyway, this person had been told that it was authorized by the Arts and Garden Board. Now, I've been on the Arts and Garden Board for a lot of years, and never has anyone told us we have any real authority over anything, much less to instruct, who must be some kind of a contractor hired by the city, what they should or shouldn't destroy in an area of the ground. I really think there should be better communication. The Adopt a Garden coordinator should have been notified, and the Arts and Garden Board. If we had been notified, someone could have been there to take custody of the plants that were being taken out. Obviously, the city owns the property. They can do as they wish. But there was no reason to just destroy all of this material that's perfectly usable. But nobody ever said anything to any of us. This was the first Arts and Garden Board had ever heard of it. And I really believe that somebody needs to sort of step up and make sure that we are notified if there's something that needs some attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Suhair Ghanem. I live on 13366 Victoria Avenue. I'm here to talk about the kite event that took place on Sunday, September 29th. This is 2 weeks ago. It was a very heartwarming event. We had 154 people registered to attend the event. Actually, we did count more than 100 people there with about more than 50 children. The children had a good time. We had them come, build their kites, fly their kites, color and decorate their kites. And the spirit was very uplifting. The mood was very positive. I think everybody who was at the event had a good time. Unfortunately, we had some residents who felt that, they needed to protest an event of children flying kites to honor and uplift the children of Gaza, who about 1 million of them are facing today starvation, death on a daily basis. But we wanted to commend everyone in the city for your stand for the, what is the city all about and the values that this city represents with First Amendment and the freedom of speech. And we appreciate every one of you for, supporting and putting the statement out that does represent what the city. And we feel like we are included. We feel that we belong, and we appreciate very much, your work here in the city. On another note, I would just want to inform everyone here that we are doing another event this coming Sunday at the library, October 20th. There's going to be a private showing of the film Israelism, which depicts two American Jews, young American Jews, who one of them goes to Israel and serves in the military, and the other person does work on college campuses, and their story and their, they're facing the, witnessing the horrific mistreatment of Palestinians. We would like to invite you to attend the event. It's on Sunday. I will be passing or giving a flyer, and please, if you would call us if you want tickets, because we are, this is only by invitation. And I'll just turn a flyer here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Jessica Downey, and I live at 13160 Kingston. For years, I have been requesting for the city to clean up Val Jones Park, as we all know. On September 19th, I was pleased to see a maintenance crew finally taking care of the park. Weeds were cut, trash was removed, fallen branches were cleared, and leaves were raked. I want to express my gratitude to Mr. Oldsman for initiating this much-needed attention to the park. Unfortunately, just 3 days after the cleanup, the Porta-John was knocked over on its side, where it stayed for 5 days. Not only was it blatant destruction of property, it was a disgusting, dangerous biohazard that should have been dealt with immediately and was not. In addition, no surprise here, litter and debris remain a constant in the park. Despite my efforts to highlight ongoing issues at the park, such as littering, drug use, property destruction, and violations of city ordinances and laws, the situation remains unresolved. On September 24th, I emailed each of you, along with Tracy Shanley, to express my gratitude for the cleanup and to let each of you know about the continued issues after the cleanup, along with the knocked over Porta-John. I also asked 4 very specific questions that I requested answers to. They were, 1, while I understand city commission meetings are not for public discourse, where and when are matters concerning Val Jones and all our city parks discussed? And where and when can the public engage in discussions about these issues? 2, you have been given irrefutable evidence of the ongoing violation of ordinances, rules, and laws at Val Jones Park. Obviously, this has not been enough to result in action to prevent those things from happening. So what has to happen at Val Jones Park to result in positive action or its closure, either temporarily or long-term? 3, why do you continue to allow city ordinances, rules, and laws to be broken on a near daily basis at Val Jones Park? And 4, when is someone in city leadership going to take responsibility for Val Jones Park once and for all? Mr. Wilson, you responded to my email stating you walked the park the Monday following the cleanup. You shared you found 2 pieces of litter which you disposed of, and that you asked DPW to address the issue with the toilet. Now, I'm not sure if you noticed the Porta-John during your walkthrough or if I alerted you to it in my email, but 5 days is a long time for a biohazard to be neglected. In addition, you did not answer any of my questions. Mrs. Shanley replied to my email asking if I knew when the Porta-John was knocked over, as she wasn't made aware of it until my email. She also did not answer any of my questions. And unsurprisingly, despite closing my email with, "The courtesy of your reply is expected and appreciated," I received no other correspondence from any of you. Where can residents of Huntington Woods engage in public discussion or get questions answered, if not in person, via email, or at city meetings? And as I ask in nearly every meeting, Where is the accountability? Finally, last summer, Vale Jones Park was in the spotlight due to the former chair of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board spreading false information and advocating for an inline hockey Facebook group mainly made up of non-resident adult men. This individual also performed outside the scope of her position by recruiting people to attend Parks and Rec Advisory Board and City Commission meetings and make unlicensed repairs to the hockey rink. Don't you find it interesting that since said chair of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board has been removed from her position, the so-called skate park advocates have been notably absent? In fact, the only person to consistently show up regarding Vale Jones Park is me. In late August, a post on that inline hockey Facebook group questioned why the newly renovated rink was not being utilized as much as before, with one member noting that the surface was now rougher and affected puck movement and players were less inclined to participate. This lack of interest from the group that the improvements were meant for, combined with feedback from the MKSK survey, years of complaints and police reports, lack of maintenance and ongoing ordinance, rule and law violations, clearly indicate that the hockey rink at Vale Jones Park is not only a continued nuisance for those who live closest to it, but also long past its useful life. I still do not understand why the hell this park has such a stronghold over each of you. The residents have spoken and you've refused to listen. Huntington Woods strives to be inclusive in every way, yet Vale Jones Park is unbelievably selective in who it appeals to. As the only park in the northwest corner of the woods, it offers nothing to those that don't skateboard or play hockey. It's time to prioritize tax-paying residents over sporadic visitors, park-like environments over prison-like ones, safety over status quo, and enjoyment over aggravation. It is high time for you to do your jobs as elected officials and take responsibility for Vale Jones Park. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Hi, I'm Ron Yolis, 13124 Vernon, and I'm a new resident to Huntington Woods after spending 36 years in Birmingham. So I'm happy to be here, and I appreciate all of you and the time you put into the city. It's a wonderful city, and I appreciate that you put your meetings on YouTube so that if we can't make it, we can watch the meetings. You do a great service to the public. I also particularly appreciated that you've weighed in, that the City Council does not get involved in foreign policy or government affairs and instead refers residents to their congresspeople. That's particularly appreciated. I think it's wonderful that you have a map of the city behind you in the name City of Huntington Woods and focus on issues related to Huntington Woods. So I just wanted to say a sincere thank you to all 7 of you.
Thank you.
Hello. I echo everything Ron said. I do appreciate each and every one of you. And I grew up here, and then I moved away for about 30 years, but moved my family back. And I'm absolutely thrilled to be here as well. And I don't want to take up much time. I just wanted to reference and support the June meeting that stated, and I'll quote the mayor, "I don't believe that local government should be involved in telling the federal government how to run foreign policy." And I just appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, sure.
Any other comments?
Hi, my name is Rebecca Cascade. I live at 8601 Hendry. I'm also a relatively new resident of Huntington Woods. I moved here in 2019 with my family from New York City. We're also thrilled to be here. This is such a welcoming and wonderful and inclusive community. I also want to echo everything that Ron and Gail have said. And I just want to express my support, my family's support, for the mayor's statement in June at this meeting regarding the city's role in foreign affairs, namely that the city of Huntington Woods has no role in advising the federal government in foreign policy or foreign affairs. So appreciate this position and thank you so much.
Hello. My name is Omar Borstein. I live in 13121 Vernon Avenue. I live in Huntington Woods for about 7 years, and I'm very happy to live here. I would like to raise two topics. The first one, I would like to request the city to check the option of installing a noise barrier along the I-696 highway. The residents living in the blocks near the highway are experiencing intense noise levels, making it difficult to keep even the windows open, even during night. This constant noise pollution disrupts sleep and affects the quality of life in our community. To illustrate the effectiveness of noise barriers, we can look at successful examples like on I-96 and I-66 in Pennsylvania and Virginia, where two sound barriers were installed to the positive impact to the adjacent resident communities. By implementing a noise barrier on I-696, we can significantly reduce the noise pollution affecting our neighborhood, allowing residents to enjoy quieter and more peaceful environment. I believe that this measurement will greatly enhance the quality of life of those living next to the highway. Thank you for considering this request. I also added examples. I can leave what it looks like. I assume it's also involved the MDOT because this is interstate. And beside of that, I would like also to give a positive feedback and support to the mayor's statement from the June meeting, summarizing what the rest of the latest members said, that the local government is not the right platform. It's just not the right platform for these type of appeals. It should be done through the relevant government entities. Thank you very much.
Any other comments?
Hello, my name is Jeff Spakowski, Huntington Woods resident since 2010, 10155 LaSalle. Commissioners and Mayor, you'll recall that you have been asked previously to issue a ceasefire resolution regarding the situation in Palestine and Israel to facilitate the return of hostages on all sides and to prevent the loss of life. Since then, we've only seen more death, destruction, starvation, and an expansion of violence. Despite a recent resolution where the city took a position regarding Russia's war on Ukraine and instructed divestment from Russia, you have so far not chosen to speak up in this situation. While we all decry the violence that Hamas committed on October 7th, 2023, I decry even louder the genocidal response by the State of Israel against Palestinians who had nothing to do with that attack. Imagine if a school shooter attacked our children at Burton Elementary, and then that shooter hid amongst our children in the classroom. would you agree that it is morally acceptable to bomb the school to get to the shooter? I want you to hear and remember this name, one of the tens of thousands of innocent people who have been killed by Israel's bombs over the last year. Shaban Ahmed Alda. He turned 20 this year, and like so many of our young people here in Huntington Woods, he was studying software engineering. He and his family were forced from their home by Israel's bombs. If that school shooter escaped a burden and went to hide in a house on Nadine here in Huntington Woods, would it be morally acceptable to bomb that house, that neighborhood, to get to the shooter? Shaban's family sheltered in a tent at the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital. He had recently survived a bombing previously at a mosque nearby and had an IV in his arm. Imagine him having had to flee his house on Nadine, sheltering at the grounds of Beaumont Hospital. Earlier this week, Israel bombed that hospital, setting him on fire, captured on video and film. The flames were too hot to reach to try to save him. This young man and others who shared shelter on those hospital grounds were someone's brother, son, friend. If that school shooter had hit on the grounds of Beaumont, would it have been morally acceptable to drop bombs on it? I urge you to raise your voice and call for a stop to the violence. Thank you.
You need to sign in first.
Before or after, either way.
Or after. Thank you, City Council. My name is Aaron Feinberg. I'm a resident at 10034 Lincoln Drive. I just want to reiterate the point made by my friends that we appreciate the city's stance. I think it's inappropriate for a city council to weigh in on any matters of foreign policy. It's also alienating to a lot of the city residents. I also just want to share my concern with the event that took place 2 weeks ago. I agree with some of the people who spoke here. It was largely peaceful, but I did have some concerns with some of the people that did show up wearing masks, combat boots, and you could see an intent to intimidate some of the people that were there. And I just don't think it's appropriate in our community. I understand people have First Amendment rights, but I just want to share that concern and the observation we had. So thank you.
Any other comments? All right, seeing none, we're going to close public participation and move on to the regular items of business. The first item is considering approval of a quote from Great Lakes Landscape for the removing and disposal of the growth at Scotia Park for an estimated amount of $29,268. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Add anything to that, Chris?
Work actually commenced today, pending approval, but they were over there. I had given them some authority to start as soon as they could, given the weather conditions. So some preliminary work began on the Lincoln side of the park, clearing out some of that rain garden. So this is really just a follow-up from the meetings we had in July, where we talked about modifications at Scotia Park. I think you'll, if you get a chance to go by and look at the Lincoln side of it, they did clear out quite a bit today, and will begin working on the other parts. You saw the scope of the work there. This material will all be removed. About 90 yards of a topsoil will be brought in to replace a grass surface there. There will be areas, obviously, of some of the native plants and rain garden areas that will remain, and we will manage those going forward. But a significant amount of this is going to be returned back to the state it was before, which we think will, especially along the Lincoln side. We've had some concerns about lack of sidewalk accessibility from Lincoln on that north side of the park. So I think by restoring some of this, we will be able to add some flat work next year to kind of connect that sidewalk in, to connect that piece along Lincoln, along the north side of the park, into our existing sidewalk system.
Are there any comments or questions from the public?
Oh, and we're not burning anything.
Yes.
I was happy to be able to move forward without that.
Anything from the commission?
Mr. Mayor, I'll just say when we had our special meeting to discuss sort of the status of the different parks and prioritizing improvements and whatnot, this was certainly on the list. And so as we move down that list, I'm glad to see this. I think those of us had good intentions when the park was sort of remodeled and how we envisioned it, but I think it kind of got away. And that corner just, I don't know if it was the size or the maintenance that was required that just didn't work. And so I think we're correcting that issue now, and this will hopefully going forward no longer be a problem.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2 is a matter of considering approval of the contract with ARC Document Solutions for building file scanning services in the total amount of $72,903.
So we had budgeted this, I think it was $30,000 in the capital improvement section of our budget. And then when we went out for bids, we saw that the costs are coming in higher. So this is going to be split between 2 fiscal years to stay within budget. But we're trying to clean up downstairs and streamline and make better use of the space down there. And so when we went out and got bids, and this is the lowest one. So we're going to start scanning. They'll start packaging up the files, scan them, and then we get a chance to review them and see which ones we want to retain. The zoning administrator has earmarked some of historical significance and stuff that we have to retain paper copies of that we'll be setting aside. So this is, again, this is a budgeted item. We're just like to keep everything above board here and ask for approval of the contract from the commission.
We have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any public comment? Comments or questions from the commission?
Mr. Mayor, so these documents will be full text searchable, so it'll help in the future going forward to just by keyword or date, you'll be able to retrieve these than going through manual file cabinets and
Correct.
trying to find
The
stuff.
idea is we're going to be scanning these into our building software.
Okay.
There are other options for they call it like a DocuWare type program that is indexable and searchable as well. We're still kind of feeling that part out, which direction we want to go in. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, basically what this is we've got probably 70 so years of plans and documents and files downstairs. So what this will do is this will give us an opportunity to make these documents readily accessible to all our residents, including the plans. Many times people come in and they want to take a look at the plans and for their house. If we've got them, they've got them. And this will be a lot easier because the BSNA software is very commonly used amongst cities, commonly used amongst residents, and certainly commonly used amongst contractors. So this certainly helps as a service to our residents, and we hope that this will also help create a little bit of space downstairs where we've accumulated many, many, many file cabinets and plans and documents over the years.
And if I can just add something, this contract is going to have one change, and that is in paragraph 7A, because the jurisdiction will be governed by the laws of the state of Michigan and not California, as stated in the draft that you have.
So we would like an approval with that amended change.
I think the motion maker and I agree to that change, so yeah, no problem.
No objection.
No objections, yeah.
Going forward, do we have a plan to stop putting paper in the basement and scanning everything in as we go?
So this is the first part of the project. So long-term, it'll be an annual thing. So just like finance has to retain ledgers and accounts payable files, we're just gonna have built into the budget where the company will come in and scan, what's accumulated in that 12-month period. There's also discussions about, if this works out well, if we can index it well, moving to HR files and other things as well. So it's a kind of we're starting the process, and we're hoping to get to the point, once we've moved through the backlog, to where we're just scanning stuff in on a 12-month period.
And unfortunately, there are specific state retention records that we have to comply with, that we will have to retain paper copies of those documents still.
Comments, questions? All good? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3 is a matter of approving the development training strategy for redevelopment ready certification. We're getting close.
We are, Mr. Mayor. If it's the pleasure of the commission, I'll give you an update on this. We actually have a representative from MEDC coming down this Friday to go over on a working session with me to actually what we have left to do to finish this up. This was one of our things that we had to do, is we had to identify trainings, and we had to identify the trainings on the development-ready decision-making boards. And this is important because those are the boards that are going to be actually making the decisions, so it's important to have a consistent training measure for them. So what we've done is we've identified the areas of expertise that we would want to consult and where we would want to get trainings from. We've identified the boards that need those trainings, and then we've also identified suggested measures of trainings, like how many times a year that they should be attending these trainings, and who would give them. I will point out that in the past that even our city attorney has gone ahead and given us some really good training seminars on the legal aspects of the trainings for zoning board of appeals, planning commission, and that would also be a resource, and I do thank her for her participation in that. But other than that, this is really just one more step on the way down the road to get our RRC certification. We'd appreciate your endorsement for what we have for tonight.
We have a motion.
So move.
Any comments from the public? Comments or questions from the commission?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor. So Hank, thank you for this update. When I was reading through the summary, it seemed like between the Planning Commission, City Commission, Historic District Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals, we already do some of those training, with the exception of the economic development training. Is that correct?
That is correct. We have to put it in a formal document in order to certify, for RRC to certify it. It's one of our steps that we have to take. So once we do that, should you favor us with an approval this evening, that'll be part of our documents. It'll be incorporated into something that could go on the website, so we know, the people know also what to expect when they sign up for boards and commissions.
Sure. Do you see this, for those bodies, significantly more training or different training, or is it?
I see it as probably, with all due respect, almost doubling the training. And the reason for that is that we're making decisions on a city that's right now pretty much built out. So any decisions we make at this point in time are going to be major decisions, because they'll change, or they could alter the course of what our city looks like and where we want to end up. So with that having said, the more training that we can get to the boards that make these decisions, the better off we feel we will be. And then these trainings are readily available. We regularly consult APA, MAP. There's tons of trainings that we're finding out through MEDC, which I'm going to also learn more about on Friday. And hopefully this will be a real good opportunity for experience for us. For the historic districts, we always use MHPN, which is the Michigan Historic Preservation Network, and they present us with some good opportunities. The State Historic Preservation Office is also good for that. There's the most, actually, for planning. So they have an awful lot of different choices in that, for that. So what the goal would be is to trot out as much information in as many of these sessions as possible. We certainly wouldn't stop anybody that wanted to take 3 or 4 of these. But we feel that there's a minimum educational standard that we would need to have people making informed decisions on the boards and commissions for the people that you put on for us.
Okay, thank you.
Any others? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Board and commission appointments. We had interviews earlier this evening, and we have 2 appointments to make. One is Jason Zobler-Tar to the Anti-Racism Committee, and the other is Dennis Hirschenberger to the Senior Advisory Committee, both terms expiring December 31st of 2026. Do we have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Seconded.
Any public comment? Comments or questions from the commission? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. City manager's report.
Thank you. I'm gonna start by turning it over to Heidi. She's got some announcements to make relative to elections and upcoming events, and then what was I reserve my right to comment. I'll yield.
Sorry, it's a little bit of information. But first off, I want to note the clerk's office has issued 2,650 ballots. We are at a 36% return, which is about statewide. That's what, about statewide. I want to thank Allie, our newest member of our office. She is our deputy clerk, and she's worked tirelessly to help. So she's been busy in her first couple of months. I appreciate her. Early voting hours start October 26th through November 3rd, 2024. Hours are 8:30 to 4:30 p.m. except for Thursday, with hours from 12 to 8 p.m. That's located at Oak Park Community Center. The additional city hours for this election are going to be as follows. Wednesday, October 30th, we're going to remain open from 5 to 8. The clerk's office will be open for election business, but we'll also be participating in the Burton Elementary PTA Trunk or Treat event for the Burton Elementary families. It's going to be located in the south side of the south end of the City Hall parking lot. The clerk's office will take election business for all residents, but we'll be passing out candy to the kids who will be attending the trunk or treat, along with hosting a mock election for the kids to vote on the best decorated car. Just a side note, the trunk or treat is not open for general public, and the barricading of the events has been approved by Public Works and Public Safety. We will also remain open, consistent with early voting hours, October 31st from 5 to 8. Then again, Saturday, October 2nd from 8:30 to 4:30 a.m. And we're going to remain open during lunch hour from October 28th to November 5th to give people additional time to turn in and obtain ballots. The clerk's office would also like to thank Howard Fritzen. He's not here tonight, but he's a local Huntington Woods artist for his design on our new Huntington Woods Vote Selfies stations. He worked with Rocket Printing and created these backdrops for voters to take a selfie or photo with their I voted sticker as they come out of their precinct. The clerk's office is encouraging voters, if they use the backdrop, to share with the city by tagging the City of Huntington Woods or by using hashtag Huntington Woods Votes on their social media platforms. I encourage all of you to take one tonight. So that's it for me.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, and I did want to welcome Allie Sutton. I don't know if many of you have met her yet. She's our new communications person, and well, she does that now on the side, because what she's doing mostly now is helping Heidi run the election. So she's here in the front desk and is doing a very good job working hard. We're happy to have her. Formerly worked in the city of Lexington, so she has had lunch with Mark Weber. Most of the east side of the state has.
Did Mark make her buy, or did he? I think I know the answer to that. Never
He
mind.
picked up a check.
Oh.
Was it his card? Who knows? And they talked Michigan football. I wasn't there, but they did. At the next meeting, we did have a bid opening last week for bids for the 11-mile traffic light project. So we should look to approve that at the meeting, and bid prices were good. We had 3 good bidders, and the prices came in where we want. Nowak and Frau says, review those, they'll have a recommendation. And I'll probably, in addition to going over the bidders and try to make a bid award, go over spend some time, probably put up show some of the design work that has been done on that. Nowak and Frau has worked with Fleece and Van den Brink engineers, as they have a lot of expertise in this kind of traffic signal design. So look for maybe a little presentation on that at the next meeting, but I think it's a positive project. And thanks to Ethan, he's been helping coordinate our reporting back to the state. As a reminder, we did get an earmark grant of $100,000 from the state to help offset those costs. So there is a lot of work we still need to do with Edison. There is some work on the poles that'll be done, and that does take. There's a lead time to get those poles in and relocated, but I think the overall design and functionality of that's going to be great. Public safety's been happy with it, so I'll look for discussion of that at the next meeting. We also may have at the next meeting the financial statements for the audit report. A lot of that work has all been done in-house, and I know they've been getting back and forth with Ethan, as the auditors will do. But I think things are wrapping up well, so depending on the timing of that, it would be the December meeting at the latest, but I think the way things have gone, I would anticipate we'll have that audit report ready by the meeting of the 19th. As regards to Val Jones Park, I clearly understand Mrs. Downey's, I think, frustration with that. I know because I probably spent more time speaking to her than almost any other resident, I think, in this community, including probably a couple of you at this table. She's been welcome into my office many times, and many communications. I haven't spoken with her in quite a few months. She's welcome to come back anytime and communicate. The door is always open. This is a free meeting. You can also come and rant and call me everything but a child of God, too, if that's the way you choose to communicate. I guess that's your choice. Whatever you think's more effective. That's all I got.
Any comments or questions?
Mr. Mayor, I do have one. Could, because there was a comment about an email and no response, could you just I'd just like you to confirm that we did experience a denial of service attack for a period of time where our email server was overwhelmed, and there were a number of emails that we never received because the IT service company had to quarantine and isolate those emails. So I just want to be clear that I was not aware of any such email because of the email server being down for a period of time while we experienced that attack. So unfortunately, there may have been emails lost in that that were archived or quarantined by our third-party provider, but that's what happened when we experienced this attack. So
You're correct, that did occur.
So during our special commission meeting that we had over the summer discussing the status of the parks, one of the things we discussed was having some concrete options for the reimagining of Val Jones.
Yeah.
And I was wondering what the status of that is, as I believe it was taken back to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board.
I've had Parks and Rec staff, and I have met on that. They've asked the Parks and Rec Board for some feedback on that. I wasn't able to attend that meeting, so it hasn't. We have some ideas we've come up with. I presented to their staff. They presented those to the Parks and Rec Board to try to get their feedback on it. But yes, I would like some concrete ideas for reimagining that. And I think now that we've successfully moved Scotia Park out of our plate, that's the next priority to come up with. And I think we had, from the discussions from the meeting, either that existing infrastructure has, beat a dead horse, but yeah, we've got, it's lost a lot of its function. It's been overused over the years. It either needs to be replaced with something like mine or move in a different direction. And I think the time is just now to make that decision, because I put the minimal amount of money I needed to put in that to maintain it functional and safe per the insurance company's report. But they were right there. I wasn't going to put money into a drainage system because it wasn't, I didn't feel you could justify it based on the condition of that. So the rink itself is in very poor condition. I wouldn't recommend going much further with that and just making a decision to either replace it with another rink or go in a different direction use-wise. The bowl's got more usable life in it, but it's 5 years away from being in the exact same spot I think probably the rink is. That's my recommendation. So I would anticipate administration coming back with some input from the Parks and Rec Board on 3 or 4 alternatives. If the city commission has any ideas, any input they'd like to have prior to that, I'd be happy to take that too.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question and recommendation to the city manager. Thank you for taking on the big vision of reimagining and prioritizing enhancements to our public spaces, including the parks that we had talked about as a body in the meeting over the summer. It seems like the aspirational goals, I think we were pretty much all aligned, right? As a community, we want to put pride into our public spaces and beautiful parks. Based on some of the feedback that we've heard tonight, as well as through the last couple of months, I think the implementation on the communication side could be improved. And so it's more of a question, but it sounds like you've talked with the Parks and Rec Advisory Board Committee, and maybe there could be some more communications with the Art and Garden Board, just to bring together stakeholders to help the community understand where we're headed, because I think some things get lost in translation in Open Meetings Act and settings like this where there have been a lot of work being done, but also that this is a public process and things don't happen overnight. There's budgeting, there's planning, there's a lot of thoughts and processes that have to happen before things are implemented. And when things are implemented, sometimes there's unintended consequences. That's just the reality. So I guess my question or recommendation is that around the topic of communications. Has the city given any thought to the process of, making sure that the community is aware of what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, a lot. I have, because I don't know where this disconnect has really emanated from. I mean, I came here, I saw the conditions of all of the parks. I thought they were poor, including our public spaces here, which we've put, I think, a lot of effort into rehabbing, and they look better than they did when I got here. But somewhere in between, we did all this in a public meeting where we put out a contract with a company, and we had multiple bids on it, and we fired one company and brought a second company in to fix it. And I still have, the garden board was trying to, as of earlier this year, take people to volunteer to take care of these areas here that we've now replanted. So something has definitely gotten crossed. I don't want to take out anybody's garden that they've worked on. That's not the point. The point here was to make it better. And so I like to focus on the things we've done that have worked well. I think the grounds are looking, particularly around here, around the library, look much better around the rec center, look much better than they have. We've got a mess at the library garden we're gonna have to work on going forward. And the other parks, we didn't even have a great handle on the areas that we had to take care of. Right? I mean, that was kind of up in the air, and I think we've had, I don't want to be critical, but I think over time we were a bit loose in the city having a good line between what we take care of and what we farmed out to other people to take care of, and we need to firm that up. We can partner with people to take care of public property, but that needs to be done in a formal manner, and it needs to be formalized, and there needs to be a process to handle that. And I don't think we had a good process for that. So when we go back to take a look at the 35 or 36 areas that we're now trying to maintain, and then within those areas, I've got 2 or 3 areas that have been cordoned off in each one that somebody was taking care of, or maybe not, and we just didn't have great records of that. So we're attempting to put that back together, and I think there has been some things that have, I understand people's toes have been stepped on, their feelings have been hurt, and I do apologize for that as we're trying to fix things, but we have made, I think, good progress toward the looks of the parks. We had a men's club field that we had a play field that just we couldn't use if it rained more than a quarter of an inch a day, right? It's been a slow and arduous and expensive process. We just met with BCFC today, and they're very happy with it. I mean, they've received numerous compliments from people that have used that field for their soccer program from all over Southeast Michigan this year, and it's going to increase because they're going to start using it more and more in the spring. So that's just one of the things I think we've been doing. But yeah, we need to bring the art. I think we need to bring that outside advisory board more in house, make sure we're all on the same page. Because we haven't been, I don't think they know what we've been doing. I haven't been really abreast of what they've been doing, and things have gotten missed, definitely. So that we need to be on the same page with that.
Mr. Mayor, following up on what Commissioner Elder and Steinhardt said, from listening to all this, it sounds like we need a more defined schedule. When, after sitting here now for 15 years, it's fine to ask the, Parks and Rec Committee and everything like that, what do you think? But we need a date by which they need to get back to us. Because any serious work with regard to Val Jones Park is going to have to involve professional consultants, whether it's repurposing the park, changing its character from what it is now to something that may serve the public at large greater than what we have there. That's going to be a consultant-based recommendation. Somebody has to come in and lay it out in terms of not only what dollars and cents would be involved in redoing it, but also, what the likely enhanced use of the park would be. And I'm somewhat frustrated by the slowness, if you will, of the process, and I have repeatedly affirmed from here, publicly and privately, I understand that the government doesn't operate as quickly as what the private sector might choose to do and just go ahead and do it. We can't quite do that with public assets, as you've noted. But I do think we need a schedule, and we need to stop screwing around with stuff like, well, we've asked the Parks and Rec Committee, and who are all very fine individuals and doing, working for nothing to try to make the city better. But I think it's not unreasonable to say, okay, starting in blank, whatever month you choose, we're going to begin some hardcore discussions about this. There is a problem there, clearly. I don't have an answer to it. The city was very responsive to the complaint last in September and went out and brought in a crew, and Mr. Berry arranged for crew to come in and clean it up and everything. But that can't be done daily. We can't be doing that on a day-to-day basis. I don't have the answer to how you prevent malicious destruction of property, like knocking over the Porta-John. I mean, I presume that's someone's idea of mischief, but it is not acceptable. I don't know how you prevent that. But the bigger thing we need a schedule. We need a definitive deadline that we're gonna begin serious work on this and stop talking about it. There's just too much talk. And the way to end talk is with action, and the way to get action is to get a schedule. So I understand how arduous it is, and I'm not saying it's not. I don't ascribe it to being dilatory. I just describe it to we need a schedule, and that would be my only comment. Thank you.
Anything else?
I don't disagree with Councilor Olsman.
Okay. Commissioner comments? We'll start down on this end of the table, this one.
Yeah, so I just want to say that in regards to the event that took place on September 29th, I swung past Burton Field and had a chance to speak to Officer Luther, who was there, and was just very impressed with the way in which public safety handled the protesters that were present. So I just want to commend our public safety department. I think they did a really wonderful job.
I have no comments, thank you.
All commented out, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll just say I agree with Commissioner Olsman's comments, and that, the study meeting was very effective, and that it was very informal and allowed us to sort of holistically look at the park system that we have and develop priorities. And whether it's a sit-down meeting, final sort of sit-down meeting with the Parks Board to review what that schedule looks like and get their buy-in for how the rest of the park improvements will go moving forward, or whether we're ready to just adopt, a schedule, I'll defer to our city manager on that. But I do think, we're moving, not as fast as I'd like, but as Commissioner Olsman articulated, nothing seems to happen fast in government. these days, and we don't have unlimited sources of money, so we have to be very good stewards with what we have, and unfortunately, these things may take a year or two to address. I mean, we've been discussing Scotia Park since your predecessor was city manager, and we just got around to addressing it with money and a company and all of that. So these things take time, but I think I definitely agree that it's time to look at a schedule and prioritize, get some buy-in from the Parks Board, and then move forward. Thank you.
Just one quick reminder about Election Day, November 5th. There is a election percentage turnout contest again this year, sponsored by Nat Pernick. So we have been the winners of that contest for several years running, so I encourage everyone to remember to get out and cast their vote. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.